Okay, here are my 4 biggest mistakes of the week, and they're all losses, and they're losses that I didn't have to take. I don't consider losses that I took that are like, it happens. I consider losses that I took because I wasn't thinking right to be the worst losses. So right now I'm focusing 100% on just mindset and making the right decisions in the moment and not becoming emotionally compromised. And these were 4 situations where I became emotionally compromised. One of them was me forcing anger, and the other 3 were me feeling fearful. So the first one was an NSC short on Monday, right before the end of the bell. I took it right here at this candle. And so the reason why this wasn't actually a great D1 chart, and I don't really pick a lot of bad D1 charts anymore, but I was angry and frustrated. So after Monday and even Tuesday as well, these types of days are really pressing on how you feel as a trader, because you start getting frustrated. You start second guessing yourself, because the right thing to do is probably just to do nothing at all. But your patience gets tested so long. Like on SPY, if you look at these days, look, this was the last 2 days. It was just the Monday and the Tuesday was just up, and you're watching all these longs and you're watching all these trades work, and you just sit and you don't do anything. But the volume is so low that you can't trust anything either. And you're in the middle of a compression and blah, blah, blah. So you get frustrated, you get angry. And this is an anger trade, and I'll explain why. So most of my trades, I like to have a 1-to-1 ratio, which basically means I can win as much, like I have a potential to win as much as the biggest loss that I'm willing to take. So I'll size my trade based on the biggest loss I'm willing to take. And I only take trades where I can get at least 1-to-1. Now, I don't always really get the 1-to-1, but I don't need to have a good profit factor. So NSC right through here was one of the only weak charts, and it was in a weak sector, the industrials, and it looked nice. It looked really nice and weak, but the problem is that it wasn't actually a great chart. There were some glaring issues that I decided to ignore and try to force or like project what I wanted onto the market, which was I wanted to win a trade, and I wanted to take a short, and I wanted to ego trade and counter the market and all that type of stuff. If you take a look at the volume, this area right through here has elevated volume, and that's kind of like this level of support. And if you look over here, it's the exact support level as well. Here's the next big red flag. This candle the day before, on the Thursday the week before, has extremely high volume, and it's a green candle. It's a buying candle, which implies that this is going to be a double bottom, higher low type of trade. And I didn't give it nearly enough confirmation. And the reason why is because first, I wanted it. And secondly, if I gave it more confirmation, I wouldn't have my 1-to-1. So what I was doing was I was forcing what I wanted onto the market, and it spanked me. It punished me really hard. If you take a look at this, NSC over here, that's where I took the loss. But that's where I shorted right at the end of the day. And then the next morning, it opens up a nasty gap up. But that's okay, because this is my mental stop. That's the top of that compression right through here, right? So I thought, okay, well, if I see it start to head up, then I can take the loss early. Well, it's actually kind of weak and just compressing all day. And then all of a sudden you get this volume candle and then a relentless nonstop rip all the way through. So I had no chance on the open to take the loss because it immediately gapped up. And then I had no chance to take a smaller loss because it immediately gapped up again and I got spanked. So how do you avoid this? You just don't take these charts. You just don't take these trades. That's how you avoid that. And the issue wasn't necessarily the fact that the chart was bad. Of course it was bad, or my management or whatever. It was the fact that I got angry because of how the market was treating me, and I tried to project or force my will onto the market. Here are the next 3 issues. The next 3 worst decisions I made was Meta, a long on Meta, a long on SMX, and a long on Riot. So these are 3 really nice bullish charts. If you look at all 3 of them, like you can just put them in your scanner right now. The video is going to be too long if I show you too much of it. But essentially all 3 of these I chickened out on. And the reason why I chickened out on was though, I was thinking, oh, I just want to day trade. I want to avoid losing, even though all of these are perfectly fine. So even if they roll against me, they're perfectly fine. So SMX, I forgot that I had sized this thing for the D1. And I treated it like a momentum day trade. So as soon as it kind of got near VWAP and done, I took the loss after hours, because sometimes these pop. And then the next day it was just up and up and up and up and up and up and up. So the issue with this one was I started getting a little bit fearful. I didn't trust my conviction on the D1 charts, and I could have absolutely sat on this one because I wasn't sized for a loss here. I was sized for a loss here, right? My max loss would actually be down there, but I decided to take the loss anyways because I was too afraid to lose, and I rationalized that by going, oh, you know, there's economic reports coming out, or the market might go against me, or blah, 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 blah. But the fact of the matter is that this D1 is very strong, like outrageously strong. So I should have stayed in this one. Same thing happened to Riot. I impulse rushed into this one way too soon, right at 10 a.m. It completely pulls against me. But the D1 is good. But then I get scared and I get out. But then it starts coming back up and I go, oh no, I made a mistake. I'm going to fix this whole thing. So then I get back in and then I realize that I am flip-flopping and hamster wheeling and flinching, and I'm one step behind the market because the market will run in cycles and you got to ride the wave. And if you flinch or you hesitate, you're on the opposite side of the wave. So you're completely just getting ripped against you. And once again, this was a loss. This loss wasn't as big as my average win, which was great, but still it was a mindset issue. Very bad mindset issue. Impulse from anger, then hesitation, etc. And then, you know, the next day, boop, 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 boop. Rips back up because the D1 is very strong. And then here's the last issue. Meta, I took Meta long because I like the D1. The D1 looked like a classic compression breakout. It was in a bull channel. So my target was like somewhere up near like 223, 224, something like that. I hold it. It gets this awesome long leg all the way up to here. And for some reason, I just sit on it. I hold it way too long. And then it pulls against me. So you go, okay, well, we're going to lean on the D1. But then I decide, no, I don't want to. And then now I'm stuck in this little area now here, and near the end of the day, with bank reports coming out the next day, I get scared. I take a very small win instead of a fuller sized win. And then, of course, the next day, pulls back up. So the issue with these types of trades is not necessarily that the technicals are bad. Once you reach kind of the intermediate level, you won't really make a lot of mistakes. Once in a while, you miss a line, you miss an algo or whatever, but almost every chart or every like trade that you take is going to be legitimate. It's going to be good, but it's the mindset. It's the issue with the mindset. You're going to be oscillating between anger when your expectations aren't met and fear when all of a sudden you're afraid of losing. And if you go too far, you're actually going to oscillate harder and harder and harder. So if you have a moment that makes you angry, you're going to overcompensate and then enter or put yourself in a position where you feel too much fear. And then put yourself in a position where you feel too much anger. And then you just get chewed up by the market. The key is, as soon as you start to notice you're starting to feel a little bit angry, you stop, you reset, you acknowledge the feeling you notice, and you get right back into the center and you don't overcompensate. And that's what happened with these 4 losses. I didn't have to take any of them. The first trade was an anger trade I was forcing with NSE. The second trade was a momentum trade that I actually had completely reasonably smart sizing on. The third trade was an impulse trade from anger. And then the fourth trade was a fear exit from fear. So look, we got anger, we got fear, right? Anger on NSE, fear on SMX, anger on Riot, fear on Meta. Look at that, flip-flopping back and forth.